Of the 4 specials that make up Adventure Time Distant Lands, 2 of them were clearly favored among fans from the jump: Obsidian, the Marceline Princess Bubblegum adventure, and Together Again, which seems to be the final adventure with the duo we all know and love, Finn and Jake. With the second installment of the series finally here, did it stick the landing? Well, as someone who enjoyed the special, I think that depends on what you're looking for going into this. If you showed up because you wanted to see Marceline and Princess Bubblegum's relationship in full force, chances are you'll walk away happy. If you weren't invested in this relationship during the original series and was hoping this special could sell you on the relationship, you may walk away from this special feeling a bit mixed. If you just wanted to spend more time in the Adventure Time world, which ultimately feels like the purpose of Distant Lands, then there's fun to be had. If you wanted more answers pertaining to the world beyond Marceline-focused threads, you may just have more questions after this special. Regardless, we're ready to dig into all of it. The pros and cons of a story revolving around a relationship that was once a pipe dream in regards to actually seeing it portrayed in canon. This is our review of the second Adventure Time Distant Lands special, Obsidian. I'm going to give my non-spoiler thoughts before diving right into spoiler territory. And if you're down for content on cartoons old and new, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell. I'm excited to dig into more childhood shows from the 3 big titans back in the day. The non-spoiler review. Taking place some time after the events of Come Along With Me, Marceline the Vampire Queen and Princess Bonnibel Bubblegum have fully rekindled their romantic relationship, living the good old domestic life of baked goods, DIY furniture, and raspberry kisses. However, the past comes a-knockin' when starry-eyed Glassboy, voiced by Michaela Dietz, recruits Marceline to once again vanquish a dragon he accidentally set free from its prison within the Glass Kingdom, Larvo. Now, in order to save the inhabitants of this kingdom once more, Marceline and PB return to a place that's very much a sore spot for their relationship, unraveling a deeper wound within Marceline's life that silently affected her initial relationship with Bubblegum. And the story takes off from there, which, while watching, you can make a pretty good guess of how each plot beat shakes out. Yeah, in all honesty, the story is predictable just enough to where, in terms of stakes, you're never going to be on the edge of your seat. To me, that isn't a deal breaker, nor was it enough to ruin my enjoyment in any significant capacity. This special wasn't coming from a place of hyping up some big epic mystery. Its focus was following up on these characters and being able to tell a Bubblegum and Marceline adventure without sugarcoating their relationship. It succeeds at that. As a Marceline-centric special, it delivers most things that fans of the characters would like or expect to see. Fantastic musical numbers. Every song here is a banger, even if Glassboy songs don't take themselves seriously. If you wanted to see Marceline kick some ass, there's a satisfying action sequence. Action is sprinkled throughout this special, but the sharpest is definitely in Act 1. There's a cinematic atmosphere with how the special is framed, something I wanted more of from BMO. And at times, it's even gritty, thanks to the flashback scenes with Marcy's mom and her time as a child. If you wanted to see more of the post-apocalyptic wasteland after the Great Mushroom War, the special definitely throws you a bone. There's a lot to enjoy here, and there's absolutely an abundance of fan service here, even if it's just kind of thrown in and not cleverly woven into the story, although Bubbline shippers will find an abundance of Easter eggs. Seriously, this is your time to thrive, and there's plenty of nods and recontextualizations to Bubbline moments in the original series. You can tell the Distant Lands team worked their asses off in many aspects. There's so many details within the special that made it worth the wait, and in my opinion, validated the return of the series for these specials. And of course, the Adventure Time humor has remained intact.
Larvo's fire gunked up our entire kingdom. It was real bad times all around.
Back to the story though, they would obviously like to use this extended runtime to touch on some unanswered questions pertaining to Marceline, but I do think from a payoff standpoint, it's sort of weird that these answers are just kind of given to us in a straightforward fashion. Its execution is interesting enough through flashbacks, but because they want to do this while also carrying out a paralleling narrative through Glassboy and See-Through Princess, with only 44 minutes of runtime, as soon as you're wondering, oh, I wonder what happened, chances are you have your answer in the very next scene. On paper, there's an A plot and a B plot, but because the A plot has to follow the present and 2 different points in the past, there wasn't enough time to let everything breathe as is. Of course, Marceline and Bubblegum's relationship is what's on display more than anything in this special, and again, if you're not already on board with this relationship, it doesn't go out of its way to sell you on it. Your level of investment is your level of payoff, because things you may have picked up on in the original series are touched on here. And I understand why they don't go out of their way to try to sell you on this relationship if you're not on board. They already had so many episodes prior to the finale, where they couldn't flat out say, hey, they were dating, they were attracted to each other. They couldn't flat out state anything about their rekindled attraction towards one another, even though it became pretty obvious. But now that they're able to finally have it out in the open, I support them just relishing the additional time they have to simply show off these two be cute and in love. I will say though, and it could just be me, but I do wish they cranked up the intensity of the little conflict they had going on, because while I'm happy they portray Marceline and Bubblegum as a mature, understanding relationship in present day, Bubblegum in particular has some questionable actions in the present day of this special that are just sort of excused. There are moments where it feels like Marceline would be reasonably frustrated at PB, regardless of Marceline's own past, but instead, Marceline's just frustrated at herself. But those frustrations and those particular moments don't really feel like they should arise from Marcy's baggage, so it leaves me questioning why they just couldn't have Marcy directly address PB's actions and inform the audience that people in long relationships are still capable of wronging each other, even in small ways. But it's good to bring it up to your partner as soon as possible and resolve the situation with communication. Then again, I feel like PB as a whole could have had more explored about her character and how what she went through as a child affected her relationship with Marceline as well. Through flashbacks, you can see that both sides had their flaws in their original relationships, but because the flashbacks obviously lean more towards Marcy, you don't get the chance to feel any differently about PB. And then there's the antagonist, Larvo. I was charmed by the resolution. It felt like classic Adventure Time to me, but at the same time, the random death they included to reach that resolution is a mess. I appreciate what they were going for, but it just didn't feel necessary. I said in my video last week that Larvo was the aspect of the special I was least excited for. And yeah, I can't say Larvo did much for my investment or enjoyment of the special. But despite all my gripes, again, I really enjoyed the special. As soon as it was over, I was ready to watch it all over again, and got just as much enjoyment out of it when I did the following morning. I obviously recommend it for Marceline fans and Bubbline shippers. And if you're a general fan of the show who was content with the end of the original series, I still recommend it, but I will caution that your enjoyment may be affected by the pacing. Overall, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. For a simple story, there is a lot going on, and although all of it may not have connected as well as they wanted it to, the atmosphere, Easter eggs, fan service, high production value, and point being drove home makes it a pretty solid watch. And when all is said and done, I can see this special being the favorite out of all of Distant Lands. Not for everyone, but definitely for a vocal amount. People will try to diminish the value of this special because of its LGBT representation, Marceline and Bubblegum again being at the forefront, but I would argue it's far from mediocre. And although I overuse this term, it's definitely a love letter to the fans. It can't be ignored that going into this, the team wanted to do right not just by Marceline and Bubblegum, but for anyone who's resonated with Marceline's story, and for viewers out there who identify within the LGBTQIA umbrella. Now from here on out, we're going to dive into spoiler territory, and I'll probably get a bit more rambly as I dig into what I like and didn't like a bit more. First things first, holy fuck, we have to talk about adult Finn. How old is he? In his 20s? Jake isn't anywhere to be seen, he's tattooed on his chest. It was theorized to happen 100 times during the original series, but you have to wonder, is Jake dead? Now there is the theory that he was the giant yellow wall that you could spot and come along with me, and that time period occurs far beyond Finn's death. But who knows? Finn has seemed to amass even more battle scars. He has a beard, Bronwyn is part of his crew. It definitely threw me off at first. When I realized that was Finn, my jaw dropped. And I do enjoy what Distant Lands is doing here, trying to constantly blow the minds of the audience through Finn and Jake, their cameo serving as a reveal for the time period of the special. BMO was a prequel, concluding with BMO arriving in the land of Ooh, moments from approaching a young Finn and Jake. Now with adult Finn, we can verify that this takes place far after Come Along With Me, but not too far where Bubblegum and Marceline have outlived Finn. I wonder if they're gonna bring all of this together somehow and together again. Will we see Jake die and together again? That's a video for another time. Speaking of returning characters, I wish Simon did more in this special. It's glad they followed up on him, that apparently he dresses up as the Ice King to cope, assumably referring to Betty's fate, and plus he was the Ice King for so long. Of course he would have some kind of attachment to the alter ego, but I really do wish he was more involved. His inclusion ultimately amounts to fan service, but that's not a bad thing because yeah, fans wanted to see him. Job well done. We got what we wanted, but I do wish we got a better idea of what his current dynamic with Marceline is like, since they're obviously important to each other. Also, he was pulling glass at the end. I see you, Simon, I see you, you finally got game. Ice King could never. On the more critical side, I do wish, and maybe we just needed a longer runtime for this, that we saw more of the beginning of Princess Bubblegum and Marceline's relationship. While the special ends with a final flashback showing their first meeting at one of Marceline's shows, where in which we finally get an answer to the shirt, their initial breakup being a vital part of the special would have worked even more if we saw the build up to that entire incident, not just from the standpoint of the trip to the Glass Kingdom, but a reflection of their entire relationship. I feel like a narrative that explored the moment they met, how their relationship blossomed, and a fight or two prior to the breakup that demonstrated the flaws in their relationship would have led to an even stronger impact of the magnificent breakup scene in song, Woke Up. And yeah, it probably would have sold more people on the relationship, while also satiating fans of the pairing by giving a greatest hits of the relationship while also fleshing them out even further. How cute and in love they were back then, while also managing to showcase how stronger their relationship is now. Nevertheless, I still appreciate the message of the special and how it explores relationships. The relationship you have with a parent can affect how you behave and perceive relationships later on in life. Marcy being reminded of her mother pushing her away when PB goes off on her in the flashback felt so true to life. It's definitely a position I've been in. I also love the message of Monster, how Marceline sings to Bubblegum that Marceline's baggage isn't her fault, that she doesn't blame Bubblegum for how the relationship originally went. Marcy had her own issues to unpack. They were both young and, without realizing it, were still coping with their upbringings, having to endure in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I also feel like the song clarifies Marceline's closed off and passive attitude towards the Glass Kingdom being in jeopardy in the flashback, even if it still felt a bit off to me for Marceline to act that closed off in the past. But I don't know, what do you guys think in the comments? Did Marceline's whole angle of, oh, they're glass, they shatter, seem off to you, or were you fine with it? But none of this detracts from the fact that they aced the core of what they were going for, and having a takeaway that important as fans of the series really begin to enter adulthood, as I imagine most of them would be in their late teens, early 20s like me, it helps overshadow the things I disliked or were mixed on about the special. Speaking of which, I hated Larvo's sudden backstory. Him getting a crack just like Glassboy was too on the nose for me, and I truly don't know why it was necessary to sympathize with the dragon who hadn't had a drama characterization beyond reacting to the lyrics of Marceline's song, which feels like it's only there so this scene doesn't feel too tacked on. If they didn't include the backstory and had Marceline's song just nonsensically touch him and cause him and his minions to sprout into the beautiful cutesy critters they become, I wouldn't have questioned it and probably would have enjoyed it even more. It was just the point where it felt like they were doing too much, especially as it comes at the end of the special. Glassboy and See-Through Princess were fine, I enjoyed their characters, but I wish we had a better understanding of their own relationship, seeing as they clearly parallel Bubblegum and Marceline's conflict here. This is where, in a hypothetical alternative, learning about the history of both relationships and how they reflect each other would have probably worked out a bit better. It was great to hear Michaela Dietz again. I do think that although I prefer this special over BMO, I prefer Wi-Fi's story over Glassboy's. The resolution here doesn't really make much sense to me. I know the cracks of the glass people are reflective of humans being broken people, and how your baggage, your flaws, your cracks shouldn't cause you to be ashamed of yourself. But when the story begins and immediately establishes that they were able to heal themselves in the place they had to steal Larvo, not addressing that at all in the resolution just felt odd. The inclusion of, oh, this is where we can heal our cracks, feels like they just needed a reason for Larvo to escape. If Glassboy was looking for a way to remedy his crack, but there was no true and tried method, that'd be a different story. Then the resolution of acceptance and making no efforts to heal their cracks makes a lot more sense. Again, it didn't really ruin the special for me or ruin my enjoyment. It's very much an afterthought and something I only came to the conclusion of because I turned on a critical lens. But watching it for my own enjoyment, I don't really care about this detail. I also wish they did something a bit different with Marceline's mom, who's now voiced by Sapphire from Steven Universe's voice actress, as assumably, Rebecca Sugar was probably no longer comfortable with voicing a person of color. And yeah, it works out, I didn't mind, I like her new voice. But Marceline just finding a message from her mom felt, again, kind of just straightforward to me. It was like, oh, okay. You didn't really have time to feel any payoff because, although it affirms that Marceline wasn't abandoned, the story didn't really give us much doubt to that being the case in the first place. I'm glad Marceline got her closure, but I do wish they could have punched it up just a smidge. And last but not least, I'm gonna rank all 6 songs which are now on Spotify. Number 6, Red Light. It's nice, but it's just not as fuck yeah as the other songs on here. Granted, it's not supposed to be fuck yeah, and it really helps this scene in the bunker feel much more atmospheric. Skeletons of the Deceased complimenting Marcy's lyrics. But it does kinda stick out like a sore thumb, because to me, the rest of these songs have a kind of replay value where you can listen to them at any time. If they came on shuffle, I wouldn't be mad, whereas you would definitely have to be in a mood for Red Light, or just watching this special. Number 5, See-Through. I love the sound of the song, but it's pretty short. And although I get it's purposely set up that Glassboy can't sing, I'm personally too used to Amethyst jams that I wish they could have made Glassboy sing just a smidge better. Number 4, It's Funny. It's a banger, it set the mood of the special well. HBO Max subtitles claim that see-through princess sings the song, which I assume means her voice actress sings the song, but that would mean it's still not the character in context. Again, rocking song, but compared to the rest, I do kinda wish it was directly sang by a character. Number 3, Monster. It may baffle some people that this is my number 3, not 2 or 1, but it's probably because 1, in all honesty, my distaste for Larvo's backstory probably soured this song a bit, so I wasn't able to appreciate the song and its beauty in context, but on its own, yeah, it's a beautiful tearjerker, a reflection of oneself as they begin to open up their heart, letting all their defenses down in this second chance of love. I do love this song, do not get me wrong. And over time, I'm sure my rankings can change, so maybe this won't be number 3 forever. Number 2, Wake Up. Oh my god. The breakup song for a new generation. Here come the animatics. Here come the lyrical subtweets and vagues. This is some early 2000s pop rock goodness. Allie and AJ, move over. But no, seriously, I love Wake Up. I know there are a lot of fans who are actually annoyed at Princess Bubblegum, so this song was probably validating to them. If the entire point of this special was to deliver this song, it was well worth the wait. But my number 1, which I know people are probably going to disagree with and put Woke Up as their number 1, rightfully so, is Eternity with You. Despite Glassboy's terrible singing, everything about this song is a bop. The lyrics actually touch my heart. You know how if you like, circle your finger within fancy glass, it will make a noise? I'm pretty sure they implemented that within the sound of the song, which is a great touch. And honestly, I just love feel-good lovey-dovey songs. Coupled with the visuals of Marceline and Bubblegum meeting for the first time at one of Marceline's shows, I truly almost cried. It was just so cute. It was definitely a great way to cap off this special. I seriously have listened to Eternity with You like so many times on loop already on Spotify, and they only released it like, what, 13 or 14 hours before I recorded this video. But please feel free to debate me on your rankings in the comments below. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? How did you feel about Obsidian? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at Vox. We're also on Instagram. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Vox, signing out.